What up, you fluffy bastards? My name is Liquid Blitz, and today we're going to take a look at and analyse the 4th DLC weapon. Today we're taking a look at the shotgun. Now, this shotgun is all the other weapons previously have been French, but this shotgun is actually Swedish, and hence it's got an even harder to pronounce name. Now, I'm going to butcher the name of this throughout this video because it's Swedish, man. To the best of my research, it is pronounced Sjögren. Sjögren. There's an S at the beginning, but apparently you don't pronounce the S. News to me! So that's what we're looking at, the Sjögren Inertial shotgun. Now, in this video, we're going to go through a few sections. In order, first of all, we're going to take a look at a brief history of this weapon, then something new that I haven't done for the previous videos. I'm going to take a look at the exact sort of pros and cons and neutrals of each shotgun variant, because the in-game weapon descriptions are not that helpful, to be honest. They're just crap. And after I've done that, then I'll go into the tried and tested, detailed comparison of stats between the Sjögren Inertial shotgun against the most popular shotguns, namely the Model 10A Hunter, the M97 backboard, the M97 Sweeper, and the 12G Extended. And finally, once the stats comparison is done, we'll go into a sort of a quick summary of the pros and the cons of the Sjögren Inertial shotgun. Okay, so first things first, let's get on with the weapon history. First thing to mention is it was invented by Carl Axel Theodor Sjögren in 1900. That being said, not much was done until 1905 when the manufacturing of this shotgun actually moved to Denmark. And from its creation in 1900, only 5,000 of these things were ever built until 1909 when production ended. So this weapon was used in very limited numbers by the Allies during World War I. Now, the reason it's got inertial in the name is because it used an inertia-based mechanism. Now, as per usual with weapons and mechanisms, this is completely beyond me, but apparently this mechanism was sort of unique at the time and considered novel, but it's pretty much widely used today in semi-automatic shotguns. So it looks like this sort of mechanism was barely used at the time. It was like a new sort of thing, but it went on to inspire weapon design much, much later. Anyway, that's enough history. As I said, very basic, short history. A shotgun invented by a Swedish man, manufactured in Denmark, and used in a very limited fashion during World War I. As I said before, all the other weapons in the first DLC are French, but I don't know, maybe there just weren't any French shotguns in World War I. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, 5,000 really is nothing in terms of the scale of war. 5,000 is nothing. Anyway, let's move on. Now, before I get into the stats comparison, I'm going to simplify the differences between different shotgun variants because they aren't immediately obvious. I mean, the in-game descriptions are useless, and to me, they weren't that obvious. So I'm going to break it down. I'm even going to color code it so green is the good part, white is the neutral part, and red is the bad part, just to make it as simple and clear as possible. First of all, we have the factory variant. Now, the factory is sort of what I would consider the closest to the base standard stats. If you consider each shotgun in general to have a set of base standard stats, then all these variants do is change one or two of those stats, maybe raise a stat and lower a stat at the same time. So when I say something like less recoil or better accuracy, that just simply means than standard, better than standard or worse than standard. So factory has a faster recoil and spread decrease. That's the only positive a factory has, but it doesn't have any negatives either. Everything else is standard. So for factory, your aim simply recovers faster after each shot compared to all the other variants. The second variant is backboard. Now this is generally sort of underrated in my opinion. Most people just choose to use the Hunter flat out, but the backboard is good as well. The backboard variants have better than average accuracy. They have less recoil overall, and they have better recoil decrease, but the negative is they have less range. So if one was so inclined, you could argue that backboard is sort of halfway between factory and Hunter. Now, speaking of the Hunter, let's move on to that. It has a better than average accuracy, but it has a standard recoil, not good, not bad, and it has a standard range. Most people think the Hunter has a better than average range. It doesn't. The factory variants have the same range as Hunter variants. So better accuracy, standard recoil, standard range, but no downside, no negative. Now, this is what isn't in the in-game descriptions. Did you know the backboard variant is just as accurate as the Hunter variant? You see, that's something I didn't know before making this video. They have the exact same dispersion stats, basically accuracy stats. Where they differ is that backboard variants have a reduced range, but better recoil and recoil decrease, whereas the Hunter just has standard recoil and standard range. So basically, it's true to say that backboard is better than Hunter for very close range, because it has a better recoil and better recoil decrease. But Hunter is better for the sort of more medium range for shotgun encounters because of the better range. Anyway, let's move on to Sweeper. There's only one Sweeper shotgun, but basically it means there are more pellets per shot, but it does less damage per pellet. It also has much better vertical accuracy than its Hunter and Backboard brothers, but it has much worse horizontal accuracy. It also has less range than standard as well. Now that list of facts about the sweeper variant, that can be a bit confusing, but basically it means it's very, very powerful at very close range. Once you start approaching 10 and sort of 14 meters, which is where the Model 10A Hunter is, like, that's where that is king, the sweeper just starts to fall to pieces and it's just shit. So the sweeper is a very close range shotgun. In fact, I would go so far as to say the sweeper is the best very close range shotgun because of its fast fire rate and its high damage at very close range. Now the next variant, and again there's only one of these, the extended, it basically means it has a larger than standard mag size, but it has a standard range, standard recoil, but it has a worse accuracy by quite a long way, quite a bad accuracy. Finally, we have the slug variant. Now this is different to all the others in that it shoots a single sort of pellet, a single slug round. So you have to be as accurate as with a rifle, really. Now, the slug variant has a better recoil decrease than most other shotguns, and it has a huge close-range damage, well above 100, so it's a one-shot guaranteed kill at very close ranges. Anyway, now that I've gone through the variants, hopefully that's given you sort of a clearer picture of what each variant does, especially backboard. I still maintain that backboard is a very underrated variant for a shotgun. Hunter is better for the longer ranges for shooting a shotgun, but backboard is better for closer ranges. Now anyway, let's move on to the stats comparison. Now, why did I choose these weapons to compare? Well, the Model 10A Hunter is the most popular shotgun hands down, so that's automatically in the comparison. Another favourite and the star piece of my Pitbull superclass, the M97 Trench Gun Sweeper, is a ferocious beast at very close range. Thirdly, because the M97 Sweeper's stats differ a lot from its backboard and Hunter sisters, I wanted to include one of those just so you can see how different it is compared to the standard. Now, I hate the M97 Hunter, I think it's awful, so I chose to compare the backboard version instead of the Hunter, and give that variant a look in, basically. And finally, the fourth weapon to compare, I wanted the final missing shotgun. I wanted the 12G automatic, which ironically isn't automatic. And why not choose a variant that I don't yet have in the comparison? Extended. So that means we're comparing an extended backboard, sweeper, hunter, and a factory. We're comparing one of everything. Lovely jubbly. Okay, so let's get into it. The first stats, as usual, are damage. Now, shotguns are different in that the damage value, the official damage value, is actually for each pellet rather than the full shot. And each shot fires multiple pellets. So the numbers you see here, the maximum damage and the minimum damage, are actually per pellet. As you can see, the Sjögren Inertial does the standard damage of 8.4 to 4.2. The Sweeper is the only one with less damage because it's designed for extra close range fighting. More so than other shotguns, so it does less damage, but it has a lot more pellets per shot, which leads us nicely onto the number of pellets per shot. In order, 11, 15, 22, 20, and the Sjögren Inertial has a fairly low 13 pellets per shot, which ain't brilliant to be honest. It is definitely one of the weaker points of this weapon. Next, we have a stat that I've invented myself. You see, all of the stats on this list, except this next stat, they're all from Synthic.com. That's where I get all my stats from. So if you want to see the stats, go straight to my source. Go to Synthic.com. There's a link in the description. But this next stat is one that doesn't exist. I've calculated this myself with a calculator. I've called it full shot damage or one shot damage maximum. Now this is basically the damage value of one single shot if you land every single pellet on your target, which obviously requires you a very close range, so naturally it does the weapon's maximum damage anyway, so it's easy to calculate. I just multiply the number of pellets by the maximum damage. Now the full shot damage maximums are, in order, 92.4, which is awful. The 12G doesn't even do a one-shot kill if you land every pellet at point-blank range. That is shit. Anyway, then we have the 126 for the M97 backboard and hunter. Then we have two massive values, 158.4 for the sweeper and 168 for the Model 10A hunter. So yeah, the best by far are the M97 sweeper and the Model 10A hunter, which do crazy damage if you land all of your pellets. They both do over 1.5 times the damage needed to get a kill. That's crazy. And given the fast fire rate, that's why the sweeper is my favourite shotgun at close range. It does roughly the same damage as the 10A hunter, but it fires a lot faster. Death and carnage! Win! Now, the Sjögren Inertial has a max total damage of 109.2 per shot, which is enough for a one-shot kill at close range, of course. That you need 100 damage to get a one-shot kill. But it doesn't allow much space for error, to be honest. Realistically, most of the time you will usually have to fire twice to kill people, unless you're close enough to pretty much place your shotgun against their chest and give them a full blast. Now, at first, when I put this video together, I was going to list one-shot damage minimum for the minimum damage. But then I realised there's no point, because when you're far enough away to do the weapon's minimum damage, it's impossible to land every pellet anyway. So the next stat on the screen is range, which is important for shotguns as much as any other weapon, because when your pellets are spread out, the range and therefore the damage of each individual pellet starts to get more and more important the further away you are from your enemy. As you can see, the Sjögren Inertial has a very good 14 meter maximum damage range, falling up to 21. That's the same as the Model 10A Hunter, so if you like the Model 10A Hunter, as so many people do, then this has the exact same range as that. So that's a very good pro in favour of this weapon. Now, the next stat on the screen is a very important and overlooked stat, in my opinion, for shotguns. It's very important, and that is rate of fire. In order, they are 257, that's a very fast shotgun for the 12G. Then 138, 138, 78, slow for the Model 10. And then, as you can see, the Sjögren Inertial has a lovely and fast 163, which is a decent amount faster than even the M97, and that is already fast, in my opinion. Fire rate is the one issue with the Model 10A Hunter, the one thing that sort of grinds my gears and possibly, to be honest, the one thing that puts me off using it. A lot of people swear by the Model 10A Hunter, but it's so slow that if you miss your shot, you tend to get killed before you can fire a second one. It's slow as balls, which is no good when you run into a room full of multiple enemies. So yeah, another great positive for the Sjögren Inertial. I'm never going to be able to pronounce that correctly again. I pronounced it once correctly, I think, at the beginning of the video, but it's just gone to shit. It's gone to pot. Now, the next stat to mention is the mag size. Extended is obviously the highest here, because that's the point of an extended variant. The fact that it has more ammo at the cost of sort of accuracy and some other bits. The Model 10 has 6, but to be honest, it doesn't really need it. It shoots slower than the rest, so the Model 10A Hunter would be just as good with 5, to be honest. And the rest have a standard shotgun size of 5. So this stat is just average for the Sjögren Inertial. Anyway, moving on. Next, we have two stats which make or break a shotgun. Dispersion. This is the angle of all the pellets in a single shot, in degrees. So the lower the number, the tighter the spread. The spread is actually, in Battlefield 1, spread means something else entirely. But in real life, that's what people would call the spread, the dispersion of the pellets. When you shoot, think of like a circle or a ring around all the pellets. The lower the number, the more accurate the dispersion, the smaller that circle will be. Usually, vertical and horizontal dispersion is the same value, but not always. As you can see, vertical and horizontal is the same for all of them on here, except for the sweeper, which has a strangely very accurate vertical dispersion, but a shit horizontal value. Now, the Sjögren Inertial has a very good 1.6, more accurate than all the others, so a huge plus there. Now, I will point out, it's not the most accurate shotgun, it's the most accurate on this list, but there are two weapons with a better accuracy, and that's the 12G Hunter and Backboard. They both have a dispersion value of 1.2, which I didn't know before this video. That is actually very accurate, so I might actually go and try them out after this. The 12Gs generally seem very fast shooting. They've got a longer range than all the other ones, which I didn't mention before, the 16 to 23 meters. So I might go try them out. Anyway, this video is about the shit inertial, so forget about the 12G for now. Now, the next stats are recoil, vertical and horizontal. Now, most people don't really seem to care about recoil as much with shotguns, because they think, oh, well, you're firing hipfire anyway. It's accuracy and speed that you need the most. But recoil can make a huge difference, especially at very close range, and especially if you're firing fast. It can make your aim, even in hipfire, jump all over the place. So yeah, there are the values. I mean, as you can see, the Sjögren Inertial has a very respectable 6 vertical and an excellent 0.5 horizontal. So that is excellent. And that, tied with the next stat, recoil decrease, which is better than the other shotguns, makes this a very good shotgun for sort of keeping control during sustained fire. I mean, those are excellent recoil values. I have a dream that one day all our guns will have no recoil. Anyway, that's it for the stats comparison. So let's move on to the summary of the pros, the cons, and the averages. First pro to mention is it has a very fast fire rate, and that cannot be understated, how important it is for shotguns, because especially if you run into a room full of enemies, to get multi-kills you need a fast fire rate. Next pro, it has an excellent range, equal to the Model 10A Hunter, so if you love that shotgun, you'll love the range of this shotgun. And next pro, it has an excellent accuracy, the dispersion stats. It's second only to the 12G Backboard and Hunter. And that is important as well, that's very important, along with fire rate and range, that's just as important. And fourthly and lastly, it has an excellent recoil value and recoil decrease value. All four of those pros make a seriously strong weapon. Do not underrate or undervalue the Sjögren Inertial shotgun. On paper, at least, it seems very good so far. So, let's move on to cons. Let's discuss some negatives. Now, there are only two negatives that I can sort of discern. And those are, first of all, it has a low number of pellets per shot. So while it is faster firing and more accurate than the Model 10A Hunter, and it has less recoil, the low number of pellets in each shot, it is very noticeable, I must say, and it's almost crippling. So if you're a big fan of the Model 10A Hunter, which a lot of people are, the Sjögren Inertial will probably feel weak in comparison. But when you consider the fact that all its other stats make the shotgun better for sort of multiple shots and multi-kills, you will quickly adapt your sort of playstyle and shooting patterns to compensate. In short, with a Model 10A Hunter, you need to be more accurate with each shot because it shoots so much slower. But this new shotgun allows for a much larger margin of error. One could even argue that this shotgun is better for for noobs like me, people who aren't as accurate in general. Anyway, the second and last con that I could think of is that it has a pretty low total max damage per shot compared to the other shotguns. Still, it is enough to kill with a single shot if you land every pellet up to 15 meters. Up to 14 meters, you can actually afford to miss one pellet. I've done the maths. I've done the calculations. You can miss one pellet while still getting a one-shot kill up to 14 meters. So that's all I've got for you. My official Liquid Blitz conclusion is that the Sjögren Inertial shotgun, it's better than people give it credit for. There's a lot of people currently shitting on this weapon, but from where I'm sat, the stats at least are pretty damn sound. They're pretty good. And if you've been paying attention to the gameplay in the background, it feels pretty powerful. It's one of those shotguns that's easy to get multi-kills with very quickly and surprisingly easily. Its fast fire rate, low recoil and accurate dispersion make it better for sustained fire than most of the other shotguns. So my ultimate conclusion is that it's a very nice, what I'm going to call middle ground shotgun. It's not for super close range like the Sweeper, it doesn't require high accuracy like the Model 10A Hunter. It's just a great all-rounder, it's a very balanced shotgun, very user-friendly, fun for all the family. If you want to know my feelings, my personal deep down feelings on this shotgun, I've got to say I love it. At first, don't get me wrong, at first, the first couple of games I used it, it felt sort of weak. But then I started to get used to it. I started to learn its strengths and its weaknesses in reality, in actually playing with it. And now it's actually become one of my favourite shotguns. That's it, basically. Once you learn how not to use it, because, I mean, if you try to use this shotgun the same way you use a Model 10A Hunter, you're going to fail with it, and it's going to feel weak and shit. It requires sort of a different playstyle. Anyway, that's it for this video. I'm sure I've wasted enough of your good old precious time. Like this video if you liked it, like this video if you didn't like it, and join me next time. Next time, we'll probably be looking at the fifth and final weapon from the first DLC, the Model 1886 Lepel Sniper. Now, I've been saving this for last because, oh, I love me a good sniper rifle, boy. So, is it good? Is it bad? Who knows? Join me next time to find out. I can't end a video without being creepy. That's just creepy, man.